Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. I am Gary Seegers, your host. You can follow me on Twitter at GaryWCE if you're not already. We will have Chris in just a minute. Normally, we discuss a lot of topics and whatnot, but today we're just diving into college football. We're not going to discuss any of the news stuff. Next week, at some point, we are going to hit on the CFP, saying that they've got time to come up with a new plan. The National Labor Relations Board says that college football players are employees. That is going to change a lot of stuff. Might try and hit on that on Sunday. But we got a pretty long show today as it is, with a bunch of different picks, and we're going to preview the Week 5 slate of the college football season. So with that said, let me go ahead and give you the rundown and whatnot before we bring Chris in. You guys need to go and check out winningcureseverything.com. That is your one-stop shop for everything that has to do with us. So go ahead and dive into it. All of our podcasts, all of our videos, the shows that we are on. Of course, I host a show for BetUS, the BetUS College Football Show, and Chris hosts the SBR College Football Show. You can find all of that over at winningcureseverything.com, or you can just click the links in the description if you want to see those other shows as well. Very easy to do. It's in the podcast description and in the YouTube description. Sign up, or not sign up, but go ahead and subscribe to both of those. Leave a nice 5-star review for us over on the podcast. With that said, the show is brought to you by BetUS, where the game begins. My friends, sign up with the promo code NCAAF 2021. You're going to get a 125% deposit bonus. Very easy to do. Go ahead and knock that out. It's up to $2,500. I mean, that's just an insane deal. Insane deal. I can't even stress it enough. But yes, go and sign up at BetUS, where the game begins. Let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and bring Chris into the fold. College football Week 5 preview. Of course, the show always brought to you by BetUS, where the game begins. You can sign up using the promo code NCAAF 2021. It's in the description. Go ahead and click that link. It'll actually put the promo code in there for you, but it gives you a 125% deposit bonus up to $2,500. Chris, my brother, it is good to get you in here to talk some college football. Why don't we discuss the preview for this weekend before we get into our pick'em and all that good stuff? But the preview, of course, I always want to ask you a few questions about the weekend coming up. Tell me this. What is the best game this weekend?
I think it's your game. I think it's Alabama Ole Miss. Last year, that weekend, it was the best game. I don't foresee it being a whole lot different. I think both these defenses are better than they were last year, but I don't know that they're great. I think these offenses are great. I think the offensive minds that are running these teams are great, and I think we're going to see a bunch of points, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think so as well. I will tell you this. The reason I've got it as the best game is because I think it will be the most entertaining. And that's not just because of scoring and everything else, but I think the volatility involved in this game. You're going to have two coaches that are willing to take risks in order to win this game. And that's why you can see Ole Miss winning the game outright, or you can see Alabama winning by 3 touchdowns. Like, there's any different number of outcomes that you can get from this, because you are going to have guys like Ole Miss is, let me get this straight. I think Ole Miss is like number 6 in the country in third down conversion percentage, and Alabama's not great at it. So Ole Miss is going to feel a lot better about taking shots early downs, and then, of course, coming in later on and just being able to clean it up if they need to. Like, they feel like they can move the ball on this Alabama defense, and I don't blame them. Alabama feels like, and of course, there is the storyline of last year, Saban and that bunch accusing Kiffin of sign stealing. Is that going to change anything this year? I mean, the storylines are unbelievable with this game. So I think that this is absolutely the best game of the weekend. You've also got Cincinnati and Notre Dame, which storylines abound in that one as well. Brian Kelly, of course, used to coach at Cincinnati. Marcus Freeman, the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, coached at Cincinnati just last year with this entire bunch. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be fun. Who knows what to make of it? And then, of course, Arkansas and Georgia. Arkansas dealing with some beat-up guys. They've been through the ringer a little bit with that schedule, but who knows? I mean, Georgia hadn't really played anybody outside of Clemson, and Clemson was able to slow their offense down. So if Arkansas's got a good enough defense, yeah, I think that could be a lot of fun. Who has the most to gain this weekend?
So I hate sticking with the same game, but I think Lane Kiffin has the most to gain.
I think that might be the right answer. That might be the right answer.
If they win this game, they're not going to go from 13th to 8th. They should go from 13th to 2nd in the country if Georgia wins. And if Georgia loses, they should be the number 1 team in the country, and nobody has an argument for why they shouldn't. They will have the best resume. It will not be close. They will be I think they're the 2nd or 3rd best team in the country right now already. But you know me, I hate preseason rankings because it takes all of the preseason rankings biases into it, and you're trying to justify why you got to jump somebody. And I don't think they should have jumped anybody. I think if we don't rank anybody until week 4, which was last week, and we just look at all the teams, they're a top 5 team to begin with.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I've got a couple other ones for most to gain here. I think Kentucky against Florida. Kentucky has...
That'd be big. That'd be huge.
It'd be a massive, massive spot, which could also put Florida on the most to lose list, but I'm not going to put them there just yet. Kentucky, if they get this win at home, they have been hyping up this new offensive coordinator, this new offensive scheme. They're throwing the ball around. They can still rely on the run with Chris Rodriguez and that bunch, but Will Levis throwing it around to Robinson and all those weapons that they've got. There's a chance that they and their defense could slow down Florida's offense just enough to be able to sneak out a win at home. And if they do that, of course, you're starting to think about SEC East championship. If you can get this one done, you play Georgia a little later in the year. You have gone toe-to-toe with them in the past, even if, you have not been as good and your roster is not as good. But you feel like you might be able to sneak this one out? Well, then you can certainly sneak one out against Georgia, or at least you feel like it. So Kentucky with that one, and I've got Texas against TCU. If you can get that monkey off your back that Gary Patterson has been on the Longhorns' back for so long. Even last year, I mean, Texas lost 31-33 to them in Austin, and should have won the game. And it's been like that multiple times. It's just a weird spot with them. TCU puts everything into that game every year. But if Texas can win that one, you can start writing off the Arkansas thing as, you know what? We didn't have the right quarterback. Now we got the right quarterback. Everything looks good. So we'll see about that.
So I want to address something. Is it going to be you or me that's responsible for reminding us next year, the week before TCU plays Texas, bet against them, lay the points, or take the points and bet against them? I don't know that they have won the game the week before they play Texas, and if they have won in the past, they haven't covered. They've looked terrible every year. The week before, I was going back and looked at it. Almost every week before they play Texas, they look like crap, and then they get this monster number against Texas, or a bigger number than probably what they should get because the last time you saw them on the football field, they looked like garbage, and then they beat Texas straight up. Can we please make a middle note that no matter who they play, if they got UConn the week before, we're betting UConn, damn it.
Well, I mean, if you remember, I did bet SMU last week.
I know that, but you didn't do it because of this.
No, it wasn't because of that.
You did it because of logic and reasoning. Let's throw that crap out of the window, okay?
Oh, yeah, logic and reasoning does not matter in this match. As a matter of fact, that's what's going to open up our pick'em. So we'll jump off that game for just a minute. We'll talk a little more about it momentarily. But the most to lose, I will go on and open with this. I think Oregon against Stanford has the most to lose. Oregon has not looked like, a top 5 team other than against Ohio State. And even then, it was only for about, 3 quarters maybe. And they didn't do anything ultra impressive. They just figured out what Ohio State couldn't stop and just ran it over and over. And eventually the clock ran out on Ohio State. If Oregon loses this game to Stanford, that's their gimme. That's it. That's all they got. And then you start to lose a lot of public faith in the Ducks. So I think that Oregon might be the team with the most to lose this weekend.
So I'm trying to stay away from just the same big games. Also, the most to win, obviously, could be Cincinnati, because if we have chaos, if for some reason Alabama finds himself with a loss and nobody wants to put them in the playoff, Clemson and Ohio State somehow get taken out of this mix, and Penn State and Iowa beat themselves up and knocked themselves out of it. Cincinnati's got a shot to make the playoffs. Okay, so that's a one to win. The most to lose, there's a world I don't think Georgia's going to lose, but I think if Georgia loses to Arkansas, I think it's a big deal because now we look at the resume and we say, who've you beaten? Because Clemson could end up with this thing with 4 losses. You know what I'm saying? Who the hell have you beaten on your schedule? And if the East begins to cannibalize itself, now the only good team you played from the West, just beat you. Yeah. And I think that could hurt them pretty bad. Kirby Smart's always due for a big loss in the middle of the season, but usually it comes at the hands of somebody that's, a 20-point dog to them. Well, lo and behold, there's a damn 19-point number. Okay? It's an undefeated team on the other side, and everybody thinks they're pretty good, but for some reason the books don't. So I think they've got a hell of a lot to lose. The other team, with the quarterback for Kansas State being out, I don't think they can lose. But it's Oklahoma. If Oklahoma loses to Kansas State, especially without their starting quarterback, I think that's a damn shame. They should fall like a rock. This cannot be a situation where they just fall up points. They need to drop. They need to drop like a hammer because they have not looked impressive at all a single week this year.
Texas A&M, I've got as another one for most to lose. As
you're right.
If
Mississippi State goes in there and beats them, woo!
Oh, think about that fan base. I'm not worried about national perception, anything like that. What I'm thinking is Jimbo just signed this massive contract extension right before the season started. He gets into conference play. Yeah, he lost his quarterback, but my gosh, you should be able to beat, Mississippi State. Arkansas is a lot better than anybody expected, but you lose at home to Mississippi State on a Saturday night the week before Alabama comes in. You're sitting at 3-2, and you may not be ranked. I mean, you got the CBS primetime game next week, and that could be a massive one. For playoff sleepers, I got a couple of options. Do you have any, or you want me to jump in first?
Well, I mean, I guess they're not a sleeper at Cincinnati. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but yeah, I mean that's the answer.
Well, what about? Hold on. What about the other side of that matchup?
Notre Dame. I was just going to say that. Yeah, Notre Dame could be a playoff sleeper because a lot of people picked them to not be pretty good this year. I told you I thought they were going to be just fine. Now they're not as good as they were last year, but they beat Cincinnati. They're still undefeated, and I definitely think I was worried about Wisconsin. They got through Wisconsin. I was worried about Cincinnati. If they get through Cincinnati, we were worried about North Carolina at one point in time. They got them right on schedule. Don't know that I'm worried about that anymore. There's a couple of these ACC teams that they got on schedule that don't scare me as much as they used to.
Oh, I certainly agree. I agree 100%. And you know what I like about Notre Dame right now? Everybody's looking at these numbers, these efficiency numbers for Notre Dame. But if you'll go back and watch what they've done, Marcus Freeman has not played really the same defense in any game. He has adapted his defense to fit every single opponent, and it takes a lot of effort to be able to do that. And you got to be super smart.
I'm telling you, there's one man on the planet that does that, and that name is Bill Belichick.
Oh yeah,
he's the only person alive coaching football that changes his game plan 100% week in and week out.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
What Notre Dame's doing defensively is very impressive.
Oh, very much so.
Very impressive.
Even if the efficiency numbers don't say that it is still incredibly impressive for what they are getting accomplished. I mean, it's just unreal. They've legit got a chance to win.
If anybody you think has the cheat code to try to slow down Desmond Ridder and this run game for Notre Dame for Cincinnati, I think it's him, right? I mean, he's got to know that team inside and out.
Yes, 100%. He knows all the weaknesses. He knows where the bodies are buried in Cincinnati for sure. Let's see. The other one that I've got here is Texas as a playoff sleeper. Everybody kind of wrote them off when they lost to Arkansas. But they made that quarterback change late in that Arkansas game, and Casey Thompson took him down the field a couple of times and was really having success once the game was already well in hand for the Hogs. But they have looked unbelievable on offense. Casey Thompson is running Steve Sarkisian's offense perfectly. I mean, just to perfection right now. If they do it again against TCU and they start rolling through, remember we got Red River next week. We got all kind of stuff. if they can get through this week against TCU and next week against Oklahoma, yeah, there's other teams that could beat them in the Big 12. But I think at that point, you got to be the Big 12 favorite, and you got a chance to get back into the playoff conversation, even if you are Texas and we don't expect it out of you, right?
Man, I don't know. I'm not getting a lot of crap's got to go bad for you to get me to agree to a one-loss Big 12 title right now.
Oh, I understand.
I mean, I need a lot to go bad.
Well, I will tell you this. I talked last week about Baylor as a playoff sleeper, and they got the upset over Iowa State. So, we'll see what happens with Texas. They've got a lot of talent. It takes a lot for a first-year coach to get everybody.
That loss to Arkansas was bad, though, man. That loss to Arkansas was real bad.
It was, but if you can blame that away.
They need Arkansas to beat Georgia. So that loss doesn't look so bad.
Yeah, but you can blame it away on a freshman quarterback, right? You can find a way to blame that thing away, and it's excuse making for sure. And I'm not making the excuse for them. That's what they will say. And there's a world in which you can get Oregon beat because they haven't looked like world beaters. You can find a way back into this playoff conversation for sure. So that's my two sleepers there were Notre Dame and Texas this year, which under normal circumstances would not be sleepers, but both of these are ranked outside of the top 10. I
guess my sleeper, I don't see him as a sleeper because I think they're improperly ranked to begin with. It's Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is the third best team in the country. And not Notre Dame, sorry, Ole Miss. I think they're the third best team in the country, Gary.
Yes.
And that's why I don't know how to call them a sleeper because I don't think they're a sleeper. I think the rest of the country just refuses to give them the credit that they deserve because they still see Lane Kiffin. You heard the Mike Wilbon rant. They forget that a decade has gone by. They forget that 10 years has gone by, and so they still judge him for stuff he did with the Raiders. God, that was like 15 years ago, man.
Yes, it's just it's unreal.
So, what do you do? Like they still see Ole Miss as a little old Ole Miss Mississippi program. They're little old fun teams. Sometimes in the West they give Alabama problems, but other than that, they're not a threat to anybody, and that's just wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah, no,
you're right. Stop this. There's zero chance there are 13 teams in the country better than them. I bet the books. Yeah. I bet the books would have them favored over all but 4 of those teams on a neutral site field right now today.
Vegas has them power rated number 5 or number 6 in the country.
Bam! That's exactly what I thought. They'd be a top 5 team in Vegas' book. They would be favored over everybody but maybe 4 teams, and that's it. And I'll tell you this: I'll take them sprinkled with a little bit of money line against all 4 of those teams right now. Yeah,
I can. I'm with you. 100%.
So I guess that's my sleeper. If you're talking about a team that's ranked 13th in the country, I just think that ranking is dead wrong.
It's not a bad sleeper. After Alabama, they've got Arkansas next. They still got to play Liberty. They got to play LSU, Auburn. Like their entire schedule is still in front of them. But a lot of these teams, not as scary as they looked when it was just a name on a piece of paper early in the season, right?
That's right.
All right, man. You ready to jump into the Pick'em contest?
Let's go.
Let's do it. College football, week 5, off the radar Pick'em. And this is brought to you by, of course, BetUS, where the game begins. Use the promo code NCAAF 2021. There's a link in the description. You can click that. It'll put the promo code in there for you. But it's going to give you a 125% deposit bonus. So go ahead and sign up. It's up to $2,500. So you need to sign up today and take advantage of this deal. I don't know how long it's going to be around. The records thus far: I am 20-18 on the season. Chris is 13-25. Chris went 4-7 last week. I went 6-5. And let's start off with, let's go down to Texas. Texas going to TCU. TCU a 5-point home dog, total of 65 here. It's a 12 p.m. Eastern time kick. And Chris, last year, TCU, of course, gets the win in Austin 33-31. TCU, however, on defense this year, just atrocious. The Horned Frogs, 7-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 against Texas. They have had Texas's number forever. Just as long as they've been in the Big 12, they have been able to take it to the Longhorns, and they take great pride in destroying that bunch. Steve Sarkisian, of course, the new coach. Man, I'm going to go against every betting trend, every trend in this series. I'm going to take Texas minus the 5 here. I'll probably regret it later. But, look, TCU number 125 in EPA per play defense. Everything that Texas does well on offense, which is run Bijan Robinson and throw the ball deep, those are the two things that TCU cannot defend. Now, within a week, can they find a way to shore that up? Because this same issue, remember, this TCU defense gave up 32 points to Cal. Cal does not score in the 30s, and yet they did at TCU. So, while every trend is telling me to take TCU, man, I'm going to take Texas here and trust that this offense with Casey Thompson is rocking and rolling. Who you rolling with?
I'm going with Gary Bass. I'm going with the trend. Going with the Horned Frogs. I'm going with the Voodoo, man. Listen, look, you use analytics. You use your brain. That's fine. That's not fun. It's not fun. That's fun. And I'm going to roll with the guy that I want to roll with. Nobody, listen. Dan Wetzel at 40, Pete Thamel, brought up something. Listen, there's not a man alive that can hike his britches up the way Gary Patterson hikes his britches up and gets ready for a coaching call. Okay? Nobody alive. There's not a man alive that can do that. I'm going with that man right there.
I can understand.
He's going to have something up a pants leg.
No, you're not wrong. You are not wrong about that, my friend. It does scare me because, of course, we saw the record 7-3 against the spread, won straight up last year in Austin.
I would say it's like clockwork. He plays like crap the week before Texas, and they play like world beaters the week of. I can't explain that. I don't know anything about that because their opponent changes all the time. Sometimes the good opponent, sometimes the terrible opponent. It doesn't matter. They play like trash the week before Texas, and then they play like world beaters the week of Texas.
You are not wrong.
I'm going with the mystics of the world that are controlling football games. It ain't coaches, it ain't players. It's the gods that handle this stuff. Go with them.
I don't believe you're wrong at all. Let's move to the next game here. So, by the way, you're rolling TCU plus 5. I've got Texas minus 5. Next game on the board, another 12 p.m. Eastern time kick. Pitt goes to Atlanta to face off against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, of course, had a monster game against North Carolina, and now they are a 3-point home dog to Pitt. Now, the total sits at 58.5. Of course, lines brought to you by BetUS. But, man, so my initial line on this was actually Georgia Tech minus 3. And I thought, man, I got 6 points of value. And then I started diving into the numbers, and what Georgia Tech is best at is stopping the run. They are susceptible to the pass. Well, Pitt does not run the ball. Like, this is not a usual Pat Narduzzi offense. I don't know. Pitt on the road is always really, really good. I think they're like 8-3 against the spread in their last 11 on the road. Like, Pitt always does well under Narduzzi. And, man, Kenny Pickett, like, he's been around forever. He has seen this Georgia Tech team from the time that they were triple option all the way up till now. Like, he knows what this team is. I think I'm going to ride with Pitt. Like, I think everybody and their mother is on Georgia Tech because of how well they played against North Carolina. I don't think you're going to be able to get the same pressure on Pickett, and I don't think you're going to be able to stop the pass as well. North Carolina used the run to set up the pass, and they couldn't do it against Georgia Tech. In this situation, like, Pitt don't even worry with the run. Like, they're just going to throw the ball all over the yard. I'll take Pitt.
Yeah, this is the right answer, by the way. You take when somebody has done something that you just cannot believe really happened, okay, the week before, you bet against that the following week. You just do. I didn't care what number you came out of your mouth, I was betting Pitt. Because after what we saw Georgia Tech do to the rest of the country who thinks North Carolina's a good football team, who North Carolina just beat the hell out of Virginia. They dropped almost 60 on them, 59 points on Virginia. And then they get into Georgia Tech and they get their ass beat. Okay? Listen, this is exactly how this thing goes. Now Georgia Tech, everybody thinks, wow, they just beat the hell out of North Carolina. They got to be good, right? No, they're still not. They're still not a great football team, guys. They're still not. I just don't believe they're a good football team right now. They're a yo-yo, okay? And what do yo-yos do? They go down after they come up.
Yeah, that's not a bad metaphor at all.
Until they can do this 3 weeks in a row against 3 comparable opponents, then I will start giving them credit, but I've never seen it. I've never with my eyes seen it. Last year we saw them beat Florida State, and we thought, man, this team might be real good. And then we realized Florida State might be one of the worst teams in the country. They were ranked in the 90s about everything, okay? And then Georgia Tech was exactly who we thought they were. Not very good at football.
Yeah.
Well, there's a world where North Carolina finishes with 4 or 5 balls. Okay?
Yeah.
And nobody thought that was possible before the season started. Well, hell, we hadn't even gotten to October, and they already got 2. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm looking at EPA per play for passing defense, and Georgia Tech just didn't real good. Like they're not very good on it. They are number 46 in the country. Now they're number 7 against the run, but that doesn't do you any favors when you can't, like when the other team doesn't run the ball. And on offense, Georgia Tech's still not great. Number 99 in EPA per play offense. Like I'll take Pitt. Like the number looked wrong to me, but maybe it's right. So with this, it's kind of like the UTSA game last year.
I did not care what the number was. Yeah. I just said this is just not right. I saw this one team play so much above their level of football, and that's fine. They got up for that game, and that's awesome. Congratulations to them. Show me you can do it 2 weeks in a row. You can take my money. I'll lose. That's fine.
I can understand it. Next game on the docket, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Louisville heads to Wake Forest. We're going to try and go a little bit quicker so we can get all these in. Wake Forest, a 7-point favorite at home, total of 62 against the Cardinals. Never forget, WikiLeaks. Wake Forest loves to beat up on Louisville because of what happened with them stealing game plans and all that kind of mess when Bobby Petrino was still at Louisville. And they still look at this as a personal game. It's a personal vendetta that they have against this program, even though it's all brand new people. Louisville, didn't look great against a terrible Florida State team. They still won. They still covered all that good stuff on the road. They got the win over UCF, but it was almost handed to them, and they were playing at home. I don't think Louisville is a great football team, and Wake Forest is playing about as well as anybody in the country right now. I will absolutely take Wake Forest in this spot, minus the 7. It's right on what my number was, but I think Wake Forest wins this by double digits. I mean, I really think that they are a fantastic football team. Dave Clawson and the Claw Fence, man, I'm rolling with the Demon Deacons.
Yep, we're going the same way on this one too, man. I love this Wake Forest team. I think Louisville is much improved. I love Cunningham. I love watching him play. I have yet to see anybody stop Wake Forest's offense, and I'm going to tell you this. This game might not look a whole lot different than that Ole Miss game that Louisville played. No, I don't think that Wake Forest is explosive. They might not score on 2 plays like Ole Miss was, but they will drive the football down the field, and there's not a damn thing Louisville can do about it.
Now, Sam Hartman is an incredible quarterback. He is vastly undervalued.
He is so not talked about nearly enough in the national media. Hell, we don't even talk about him enough as much as we should have, and we both love him. So,
you're not wrong.
Just the level of they're starting to get respect, starting to get some notoriety, but we're still way behind the 8 ball on this team. There's a world where this is the best team in the ACC this year.
They are certainly one of the most well coached. I will say that.
It's gonna be fun to watch them compete against the North Carolina States and the Boston College, the other remaining undefeated teams, and hell, some of those 1-loss teams, 2-loss teams in the conference.
Oh, I agree with you. I agree. All right, let's move on to the next one. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time kick. This is the ABC game, if I'm not mistaken. Oregon heads to Palo Alto to face off against the Stanford Cardinal. David Shaw, of course, lost last week to UCLA, 35-24. The number here, Stanford is an 8-point underdog at home. 57.5 is the total. Oregon won and covered the last 2 seasons here. And, Stanford has normally been pretty good against the spread at home. But if you look at what they've done over the last couple of years, they have been awful against the spread. Didn't cover again last week. I wonder if Oregon against Arizona last week, because Oregon did not look good in that game. But I wonder if they were looking ahead to this game, because Stanford, of course, a typical rival, one of the teams that you kind of gear up for every year. The issue here might be on defense. Oregon EPA per play defense, EPA per pass defense, number 83 in the country. Not good. Not good. And that's the one thing that Stanford is good at. But I do think that Oregon can run the football on them. I mean, Oregon's number 23 in the country, EPA per rush, and Stanford is not good in that metric. I mean, they're just not good at stopping the run at all. So in that case, which, by the way, is Stanford number 122 in the country, EPA per rush defense. I think that's where the game is going to be won, is on the ground. I'm going to take Oregon -8. I think they were kind of gearing up for this game last week, and that's why they kind of got caught looking ahead against Arizona.
Yeah, I don't think Stanford's a good football team. I still continue to believe Stanford's not a good football team. I think Oregon is. I think this game will look a whole lot like the UCLA game. Stanford might try to keep it close for a little bit, but at some point in time, this is going to become a 10-point game.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. All right, next game on the board here, we have got Oklahoma, another 3:30 p.m. Eastern time game. Oklahoma heads to Kansas State. Kansas State, a 10.5-point dog, total of 52.5. OU's offense is not explosive at all, just at all. A metric that I brought up, I think, to you last week with Spencer Rattler, man, he was terrible. He has been terrible all year. Up until this last game, he only had 3 passes completed over 20 yards down the field, and he had 3 turnover-worthy throws in that same metric. I mean, just awful. Kansas State has covered 3 of the last 4, including winning and covering the last 2 outright. Skylar Thompson might be back. I don't know that it necessarily matters.
I don't think Skylar's coming back, man. I might be wrong. So. I hope he does.
I mean, they've talked about it, and that's the only reason why I even bring it up. I don't think it matters who the quarterback is. I think this offense continues to run regardless of who it is, and it's not the offense. I think it's the defense for Kansas State that can actually slow down Oklahoma and make this just a slugfest, right? This will just be played in the teens, maybe in the lower 20s. If it's in the lower 20s or in the teens, like 10.5 is just way too much. I'm going to take Kansas State.
Thank you.
And so,
yep, I'm with you, man. I love this Kansas State team. I undervalued them and underestimated them before the season started. I was wrong for that. I think they're far better than I thought they were originally. They are tough. You just talked about it. They're tough on the defensive side of the football. And what Skylar Thompson was able to do was pretty good. You know, I mean, good enough to get Stanford or Kansas State some wins. Not just be competitive. And when he went out in that Oklahoma State game, you know, that game was tight the whole way through. And then as soon as he goes down, everything changes, and Oklahoma State kind of takes over.
Well, that was Will Howard in the Oklahoma State game. Skylar Thompson went out the week before that, but yes, it's the same
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, my brain. Yeah, but it's just this defense. They were doing fine, and then they give up a couple of big plays because they're on the field so much because the offense isn't doing a lot.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm getting at. Towards the end of the game, you start giving up chunk plays, you start giving up big plays because the offense can't stay on the field, give you defense time to rest. This defense can find any time to rest at all. They can do it on drives, which everybody's been able to go on drives against Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma State's defense is far superior than Oklahoma's from what I've seen so far. I think they can just sustain some drives and kick some field goals, and you can cover a big number like this.
The same way that Adrian Martinez was able to have some success against Oklahoma's defense, I think Deuce Vaughn will be able to do the exact same thing. Kansas State does have a playmaker there, and so long as they can get him the ball, I think he's going to make some stuff happen.
I would feel so, and I'm telling you, if Skylar shows up for this game, and that's just like an emotional thing, right? Like I've seen him do it. I've seen him lead this team, you know, this season so far, and they've impressed me. Because I didn't have a lot of expectations for them at all. Thought they were going to be bad, flat out.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that he was pretty good and showed some signs of being able to be competent and move this offense and be, you know, capable of doing some stuff. If I can see him on the field, I'll just feel better about it.
No, I tend to agree with you. So we're both taking Kansas State plus the 10.5. Next game,
we're going against each other in a minute.
No, it's been 4 straight that we agree on. We'll see about this one though. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Syracuse heads to Florida State. The Seminoles a 5-point favorite, even though they are 0-4 on the season and 1-3 against the number. Look, this is the total is 51. By the way, of course, again mentioning odds brought to you by BetUS, where the game begins. Click the link down in the description. Florida State is bad. I mean, just bad. Syracuse's numbers don't look good, but just all of their advanced stats do not look great. But they are finding ways to win football games, man. They are 7-3 against the spread in their last 10. They are 3-1 straight up this season. Like they are actually playing winning football. They're figuring out what they can't do and what they can do. My line on this was actually Syracuse -3 on the road. I got 8 points of value here. Like I'm going to go ahead and take Syracuse +5. Like I feel like this could end up being a field goal game one way or the other. Garrett Schrader in at quarterback for them he's the calming presence for them. He is the difference maker here. He's the Mississippi State transfer. I don't think Syracuse is that bad, man. I think they're actually a better football team than Florida State right now, especially with all the injuries that Florida State is still dealing with. So I'll take Syracuse +5.
All right. Gary does the singers. I got to tell you something. I don't know if that's a middle name, and I'm sure it's not. Just kidding. Listen, this line stinks like shit.
Yes.
This line tells me, I don't know the percentages, I don't know the money, but I cannot imagine one sane person seeing this number and not betting Syracuse. So I'm going the other way. I'm just going the other way. I think somebody knows something that we don't.
You may not be wrong about that. You may not be wrong.
One team has looked far better than we thought they were going to look before the season started. The other team could not look worse than what anybody in the world could have imagined them being this year. Why are they 5-point favorites?
Well, now look at it this way. Does the majority of the public know that Syracuse has actually been playing well?
Probably not, but the entire country knows Florida State has been absolute trash. Just complete ass the entire season.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Everybody knows that.
Actually, looking at this, 51% of the wagers have been on Florida State thus far.
That's insane. What are those people seeing?
I guess
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Florida State actually won the second half against Louisville last week, so maybe they saw something in the second half, I guess.
Maybe they're improving. I don't know. I think Florida State's due for a win, an outright win. At some point in time, Mike Norvell's going to get a win. I thought they were going to be a dog in this game, and I was ready to bet Florida State. And then I saw they were a 5-point favorite, and I thought, shit, can I lay 5 points? Because this seems insane. This seems like the dumbest bet I've ever made. It's not. I've made dumber, I'm sure. But
let me ask you this.
I'm going to lay the point.
Would it be any dumber than betting Syracuse on the road at Florida State? I mean, if you think about it in both terms.
Because Syracuse has actually looked good, and Dino Babers has been very good this year. So it wouldn't be dumber than that. That seems like a logical thing to do.
Now, you might not be wrong about that. You might not be wrong. This next one I don't think is going to take a long time. So let's just dive into it. 6 p.m. Eastern time. Louisiana Tech heads to NC State. NC State, a 20.5-point favorite, total of 54. Austin Kendall might be out of this game as well. And look, last week against North Texas, Louisiana Tech gets the win 24-17, but the passing game did not look good without him at the quarterback position. So while this is a letdown spot for NC State, and they are without their best defensive players, I do wonder if NC State does not just pour this thing on, kind of like they did with South Florida. I think Louisiana Tech is better than South Florida. Man, I have scratched out who I've got winning this multiple times. I started off with NC State -20.5, and then I wrote Louisiana Tech +20.5. It's a big letdown spot for NC State. But, man, getting it under 3 my line on this was actually 17. And the fact that it's at almost 3 touchdowns now scares me. I'm going to go against the number. I'm going to take NC State.
Oh, now I'm not betting against the NC State team. I know I'm going to get a letdown at some point in time. But before the season started, I thought they could be the second best team in the ACC. Thought that was to Clemson. I don't think it would be wise right now. Wake Forest looks amazing. Boston College looks amazing. But I'm not getting off my horse that this could be the best team in the ACC. I like this team. I know they're going to let me down at some point, and this is the perfect spot to do it. But they're just going to let me down. I'm not getting off.
That makes sense. That does make sense. The Austin Kendall situation. That scares me about this. Otherwise, I mean, I would have taken Louisiana Tech at this number all day long. But, yeah, this is, again, letdown spot. It may not matter who the quarterback is. NC State just might come out flat. But I'm going to trust them to be able to get it done by 3 touchdowns. I think they got enough playmakers. And I think Tim Beck's offense is going to be itching to get some points after only scoring 14 in regulation against Clemson last week. Next game up here, we got an SEC tilt, 6 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Florida heads to Lexington, Kentucky. The Wildcats, a 7.5-point underdog at home, total of 55. Brother, my line on this was Florida minus 10. I don't think Kentucky has figured out all of their flaws yet, all of their issues. While I think that they can throw the football on Florida, I don't think they're going to be able to run it as easily as they have on some of these other teams. The turnover bug is a problem. Is there anybody else in the country that you can think of that is undefeated right now through 4 weeks that has a -9 turnover margin? I mean, they've given the ball away 9 times. Just absurd.
Not just this year that I can think of. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So
they better be glad they were doing it against a bunch of cream puffs, okay?
Yes. Yeah, the problem is, like, I thought they would have it fixed by last week when they went to South Carolina, but even then, they
turned
it over 3 times and still covered the spread at South Carolina. Like, that is the sign of a good team.
I don't think this is a fixed possibility, though. I think this is one of those things. This is who you are. I mean, it's like we talked about it with Jameis Winston back in the day, and sometimes this is just who you are.
Yeah. My line was 10. It opened at 8. It jumped out to like 8.5, and then it jumped out to 9, and now it's back down to 7.5 again. A lot of Kentucky love now that we're getting into the week, but yeah, I'm going to take Florida. Who you rolling with? Are you taking the Wildcats here?
No. I'm
okay.
doing the same thing, man. But you know how I feel about Dan Mullins. I think Dan Mullins is one of the best coaches in the SEC. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country.
Indeed.
I think this guy is better at getting his team prepared to play week in and week out from an X's and O's perspective and game calling better than almost anybody. And he's not a likable person, okay? He's an easy guy to make fun of, and those types of things affect what people think of him. I think this Kentucky team is really good. I think this Kentucky team is much improved. I think this defense isn't close to as good as they were last year at all. They just haven't been tested. They haven't played a good team. I think Florida's a very, very good team. I think Florida's going to come out. And I think Florida's got a chance to kind of whip them up pretty good.
You might be
right. Your line
of
10 points. Your line of 10 points seems about where I thought this game should be, but I knew there was no way the books would have it at that.
Yeah, that does make sense. All right, so we're both rolling.
And I like Kentucky.
Same here. Same here. I love it. And this is a showcase kind of game for them. But man, I think there's just too many mistakes being made all over the field with that team. So we'll see. We both like Florida minus the 7.5. We got 4 more games here. Let's go ahead and knock them out. First one up, Mississippi State heads to Texas A&M, 7 p.m. Eastern time kick. A&M a 7-point favorite, total of 46. And brother, the biggest mismatch in this game is the A&M passing defense. They are number 2 in EPA per pass defense, and of course, that's all State does. State was actually able to run the ball against LSU and then went away from it for whatever reason. They were having success, and they went away from that side of the ball. But that's what Mike Leach does. They do not run the ball. Like they throw it at like a 75% clip. It's just insane. If you're going to do that against A&M, against this secondary, against this defensive line, best of luck, man. Like I understand Zach Calzada didn't look great last week, but this Mississippi State defense is not the Arkansas defense. This is a whole different beast.
Not even close. Yeah, Calzada's going to look. Now, hang on. The State defense is good. They're not Arkansas.
Exactly.
That Arkansas defense is right, baby.
Yes. Oh, it's absolutely. You're 100% right about that. So I'm rolling A&M minus 7. I don't see Jimbo going to 3-2 the week before the Alabama game because that fan base will turn on him very, very quickly. So I'll take A&M minus the 7 here.
Man, we're agreeing way too much. It scares the shit out of me. But I'm with you. I think this A&M team is much better than they've played. I think they know they need to win, and they need to win in the most desperate kind of way. Here's the biggest problem with Rogers and Mississippi State and them throwing the football is his accuracy is just so inconsistent right now. So he just, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. Like the 3.5 quarters, he looked like crap. Well, maybe 3 quarters. He looked like crap against LSU. In the fourth quarter, he's just dropping dimes right and left. I'm thinking, if you could play 3 quarters that way and only be 1 quarter shitty, like, you'd win the majority of your games. But I don't know if he's capable of doing that.
I don't know that he is either. So I'm going to choose to believe that on the road he is not going to be nearly as successful, and we'll both roll with A&M. So in that case, we got 3 more here. Next one on the board, we have got Baylor headed to Oklahoma State, headed to Stillwater, and the Cowboys are a 3.5-point favorite at home, total of 47.5. Again, odds brought to you by BetUS. Click the link in the description, get the sign-up code, all that good stuff. Look, my line on this, just based on analytics, et cetera, was Baylor -4 on the road. Now, you take away 3 points from that, and then you got Baylor still favored by 1 on the road, and it came out as Oklahoma State -4. It's been bet down to 3.5. This Oklahoma State offense has kind of opened up a little bit here lately. They got their wide receivers back. They're throwing the ball more efficiently now. They just had a bunch of injuries and stuff. They were trying to work their way into the season. And last week against Kansas State, it was a tight ball game until late when they were able to make plays that Kansas State was not. The home field thing scares me. I'm going to take Baylor to cover the 3.5. I like the hook here. I think this could be a field goal game either way. Baylor, it would not surprise me if they come out flat because they got a massive win over Iowa State last week. But I do think that Baylor is a much improved team, and I like what they're doing on offense. I think they're going to be able to score on this Oklahoma State defense a little bit. It just depends on which Spencer Sanders shows up. So I'll take Baylor plus 3.5 here.
Yeah, I think I'm the same with you. We're agreeing once again, man. I think Baylor is they got to win the game, and I catch them points. Oklahoma State's offense just has not looked great, and Dave Miranda's defense is going to be better than anything they faced so far.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so both rolling Baylor plus 3.5. Let's see, last 2 games, and we have got Western Kentucky. This 7:30 p.m. Eastern time game. Western Kentucky going to East Lansing to face off against Sparty. Michigan State, an 11-point favorite at home, total of 64. The matchup here that I wanted to look at. First off, if you look at Michigan State's EPA per pass, they are number 78 in the country. Not great at stopping the pass. And if you look at who they've played, they hadn't really faced anybody that can throw the football, which kind of scares me. If you look at what Western Kentucky is doing on the offensive side of the field, they are number 1 in the country in EPA per play. They are number 9 in EPA per rush. They are number 9 in EPA per pass. They are a legit offensive team, and they have got some firepower. They're not great against the run at number 89 in EPA per rush defense, but if you get into a spot where you are trading points with a team like Western Kentucky, you're going to be in trouble. My initial line on this was Michigan State -14. Man, if Michigan State is looking ahead or looking behind or what, just not paying attention to this game at all, I could totally see a backdoor cover here. I initially thought Michigan State would cover this 11. I really liked it when it was like 9.5 or whatever it was. I think I'm going to go the other way, though. I think I'm going Western Kentucky plus the 11 because I think this team is the perfect backdoor cover kind of team. So I'll take the Hilltoppers.
So this is where we see this game similarly. I'm going to go the opposite direction. I am scared of the backdoor. I don't think Western Kentucky is going to be in this thing. I don't think this is one of those situations where we're going to get an upset. I think Mel Tucker has this team playing so disciplined and so tight that they're just not going to have a big letdown. They might get beat by somebody, and they might play a game a little closer than you normally think. But I think they're better than this team. I think they should cover this number just by playing strong defense. This is a really, really good defense. Western Kentucky ain't played anything like this, And then if you've got an offense that you are having problems slowing down, what do, Gary? You hand the ball to your grinder of a running back, and you say, "We're going to keep that quarterback on the other field on the other side of the field, he's just going to get his ass on the bench. And we're just going to run the football. We're just going to chew up clock, because that's what Michigan State has done. And if you make a mistake, we're going to get you to a point where you're desperate and you're going to try to make mistakes because you're going to be down 2 scores. We're going to pick the damn thing off. And so I feel safer laying the points.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from on that. I've been in the tank with Western Kentucky this year. I love the Houston Baptist offense that they brought in. Bailey Zapp, all those wide receivers. They've been unbelievable. Like, this has been a massive shift because remember, this team only scored over 24 points twice last year. And this year, I mean, they are just flinging it all over the place. Got to within 2 points of Indiana last week. This is a spot that I don't like for them because it's their second straight game against a Big Ten team. But hey, I'll roll Western Kentucky again. I'll take the plus 11, and then you're taking the Michigan State minus 11. That gets us to our last game here, and the last one up is actually the late night game, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Arizona State, Herm and the Sun Devils headed to UCLA. Going to go play in the Rose Bowl. UCLA a 3.5-point favorite. Total of 55.5. Chip Kelly, normally this would not be a coaching advantage, but Arizona State's got some weird stuff going on, man. UCLA is susceptible to the pass. That's great for Jalen Daniels in that bunch, but I don't know what to make of Arizona State right now. They have made mistakes in every single game, and it has cost them. They should have won the BYU game, but so many penalties, just boneheaded stuff. And I don't know that it's going to get fixed because they got so many coaches that are out on leave or whatever, like that are suspended. I just don't know what to make of this Arizona State team. I don't know how much they are into this season. Coming off a loss like that, I wonder in this situation. I'm going to take UCLA minus 3.5. I think that this is the team that has more to play for right now because I don't know that Arizona State is even interested. It seems insane to me to say that, but I'm going to take UCLA minus 3.5.
All right. You know how much I love Herm, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know how much I love Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah.
All right. I've been a Chip guy since way back. I'm talking way, way back. So I can't say the fact that I'm siding with Chip on this thing, it should shock anybody. But right now, Gary, didn't think this would happen before the season started. Give me DTR over Jaden Daniels. I think he's playing better football. I think he's a better quarterback.
I think he is too.
I think this team for UCLA is real good. This game, the winner of this game is winning the South. Okay? That's definitive. That's done. The winner of this team is going to win the South. I believe that. I don't think Utah is going to get their shit together enough to outrun the conference loss they've got already, and I just don't think it's going to come to that. I think both of these teams are better than them. Might be wrong about that, but I don't see them beating both of them. And I think Chip knows for me to finally make a splash, I need to win the Pac-12, and you can't win the Pac-12 if you don't win the Pac-12 South. And he knows if I lose this game, I need them to lose 2 conference games. Now, if they lose to Utah, who the hell else are they losing to?
You got me.
Conference.
You got
me. Because this conference isn't very good if they don't play Oregon. Okay? And that's why I think Chip Kelly knows he's got to make his bones. He's got to make them right now.
That's a very good point. That is a very good point.
And I love the way DTR is playing. God, I love DTR.
Yeah, no, I can side with that. Good gracious. All right, so we're both rolling UCLA minus 3.5. We only disagree on, 1, 2, and 3. All right, so we disagree on 3 out of 12 picks, which either means we're going to have a fantastic week or we're going to have a terrible week. And I have no idea which one.
I was terrible already, so that doesn't change anything for me.
I can understand it. All right, brother, I'm going to let you get out of here. I'm going to close out the show. Is there anything else you want to say before we head out?
No, brother, that's good. Have a good weekend. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next weekend.
Sounds good to me, brother. We appreciate Chris for being here. Of course, a lot of fun this weekend, week 5 of the college football slate. It's going to be a fantastic time. If you have not already gone and watched his SBR college football show, make sure that you do. He does a show on Mondays, Wednesdays, and on Saturday mornings right before the game. So right before everything starts. I think it's 9 a.m. Central Time. So make sure that you dive in for that. The link is in the description to check it out. I myself have knocked out 2 BetUS college football shows this week with my guys Parker Fleming and Kyle Hunter. You can find that, of course, in the description as well. Go and check out those games. We hit on a bunch more in those games or in those shows as opposed to what we hit in our off-the-radar pick'em. So make sure and check out all those as well as all of these that you just listened to. We certainly appreciate it. The show always brought to you by BetUS, where the game begins. I'm going to say it again, 125% deposit bonus if you use the promo code NCAAF2021. I can't stress it enough. I've said it multiple times on this show. There is a link in the description. Go and get signed up. It is sportsbook exclusive. It's up to $2,500. You're going to have a lot of fun betting on football this season if you get signed up with BetUS, where the game begins. Go to winningcureseverything.com. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, all that good stuff. You guys have been fantastic today. We appreciate everybody that jumped into the chat, etc. Share the show out. Subscribe to the podcast. Listen to us on the way to the game. All that good stuff. I'm going to be listening to podcasts on my way to Tuscaloosa this weekend. So hopefully you all are getting out and enjoying yourselves. And I hope that you all enjoy another wonderful, magnificent football weekend. We got college football week 5, NFL week 4. Go back to Wednesday's show if you want to hear our NFL picks for the week. Whew, guys, it's going to be a fun one. It is going to be a fun one. Let me just say that. So with that said, you guys take care of yourself, take care of each other, and hopefully all of your tickets cash this week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything.